Good morning, everyone. So, welcome to the class of Business Correspondence and Reporting. My name is Prachikar, and we were already doing chapter number 2. So, we will be continuing with chapter number 2, and then we will be starting with chapter number 3. I hope you all are doing very well. You are staying home. You are safe. Everyone around is safe. Around you is safe, and you are taking, I always repeat this in my every class. I'm repeating this once again. I hope you are taking the most of these classes and you're preparing very well for your exams. And I have received many queries last time and I've already answered them in the Excel sheet. I hope you found them on your website, ICAI website. Along with that, there were students who asked me for the worksheets. I have already uploaded one worksheet, okay? And that in that worksheet, I've tried to cover major topics, but I will be uploading more worksheets. So I want you to download that worksheet, start practicing. Maybe in future or maybe consequently once your course is over, we'll have one doubt session where we can discuss the worksheets and where we can discuss the answers, your doubts, and the problems in the worksheets, whatever you face. If you want, you can also send me the answers before that so that I can evaluate and I can see how you all are doing, so that when I have a doubt session, I will be even more prepared on which topics I need to focus on. All right. Okay. So we were doing direct and indirect speech. I'm going to start with today's class quickly because we need to finish direct and indirect speech today, and then start with vocabulary, which is scheduled for today. Rules of the class. I hope you remember. Your notebook and your pen should be ready. Somebody asked me in the last class how to make notes in the language. I didn't get your question. But when I say take notes, that I mean that there are things that I'm explaining on the board. There are things that I'm telling you verbally that might not be there in the PPT, or you might have to really look for it in the material. So it's easier to make it handy. It's easier to note it down so that, when you are practicing or when you are revising, you can just look at your notes and just revise everything and get review and whatever you have learned so far, right? Especially sentence structures, I would say. Please write it by your own hand, with your own hands, because when you make yourself written notes that are more understandable to everyone, like it's for everyone. Whenever you make notes yourself, you remember things first. Second, when you're revising, you understand better when it's in your handwriting. So you know why you wrote it and how you wrote it and everything. Okay. About the PPT, the last PPT about direct and indirect speech, I have made few changes in that PPT. So I will be requesting sir to upload it once again. So I request you to upload that PPT once again, the new one again. Okay, so direct indirect speech PPT, I will be uploading once again. I want you to download it once again. Right? Can we start with today's class? All right. So direct and indirect speech. I started with this topic in the last class. I will be quickly repeating what direct and indirect speech is if there is someone who missed the last session, or if there is someone who has not seen the last session yet. So, or maybe for some people who did not understand what direct indirect is, I will explain it again. Yes, I want to thank you all for sending all the responses to me and keeping the pace with me. Most of you have got all the answers right. Whatever I was asking during the class, you all got the answers right. And some people got 4 right, 3 right. That is okay. My point to give you these exercises is that you are at least trying and you are focusing on what we are doing, right? And you want to learn. So even if you make a mistake, that is even better, because when you make a mistake, you learn things in a better way. You know that, oh yeah, I was wrong here. So I don't want to be wrong again. Let me just go through the concept once again. Right? So no worries. Even if you were wrong, the participation is more important. The learning is more important. All right. Direct, indirect speech. Now, I told you direct speech is a speech which has the actual words of the speaker, right? So if my mother and I, we are talking to each other, right? And later, I tell my sister about what mother said in the exact words, right? No, I did not change it. If my mother said, I am unwell today, so I said it, the mother said, I am unwell today, right? I did not change it, right? That is direct speech. But if I want to make it indirect speech or reported speech, you also call this as reported speech. So I would say, the mother said that she was unwell today, right? Am I clear? Right? Okay. So coming back to here, I have written 4 sentences here. I want to focus on few technical words here, few how the structures, how the direct speech and indirect speech is structured. So I want to focus on that here. Right? So listen to me very carefully. We will come on how sentences change according to the rules and everything. When do you change and when do you not change? All of that is later. Now, if I say, she said, Tim is much better. She said, Tim is much better. Right? I want you to focus on first, said here. Said is a reporting verb here. Said is a reporting verb here. Do not confuse it with the verb which is mentioned in the direct speech or indirect speech. Right? Reporting verb is through which you are reporting something. Direct or indirect doesn't matter. This is called reporting. So your the options for your reporting verb is said, asked, told, says, tells, commands, exclaimed, declare, inquires. So you have to read the sentence and you have to see the tone of the sentence, right? Is it a question? Is it a command? Is it giving you some information? Remember we did 4 types of sentences? So yeah, you need to judge the function of the sentence and then based on that you can choose your reporting verb, right? So if your reporting verb is according to the sentence or according to direct speech or indirect speech, it conveys the message even better, right? It conveys the tone of the sentence. Am I clear? Yes. So this is said, which is called reporting verb. After the reporting verb, in direct speech, we use comma. Okay, so reporting verb is followed by a comma. Clear? Yes? Okay. Now, do you see these? Right? So these are called speech marks, quotation marks, inverted commas, whatever you want to call them. Am I clear? And you can have single inverted comma, you can also have the double inverted comma, whichever way you want. But nowadays we mostly use a single inverted comma. Am I clear? So these inverted commas are very important in the direct speech. If you are quoting someone as it is, even if you're texting or you are writing an email, you want to convey something to somebody in written, right? If you are saying actual words of the speaker, if you are reporting as it is without changing even a pronoun in it or verb in it, you use inverted commas or we call them speech marks, right? Why do we use direct speech? I explained it to you last time. It's very well explained in your ICAI material, course material, on page number 2.16. Direct speech is mostly used when you don't want to create confusion, right? You want to just say the things clearly. We use direct speech is in narratives more because it makes the narrative more interesting. You must have noticed this when you are doing literature that whenever you have more of dialogues in it, you enjoy it more. Your characters have dialogue, so you enjoy it more. So it makes the role plays, dramas, these things very interesting. So wherever there's a dialogue thing, you use direct speech, right? And when you want to convey the exact words of the speaker, when you want to simplify and clarify the information that is being reported. For example, I am telling you something, this happened, 2 people had a fight, right? to clarify and to supplement with what exactly happened. Maybe I've told you in brief, this is what happened. She said this, they said this, blah, 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 all of that, right? But when I'm adding direct speech, I want to clarify that this is not I am saying it, right? This is what she said, or this is what they said, right? So whenever I'm adding direct speech in the reported thing, you've seen in newspapers also, they quote people whenever there's anything, maybe about elections. Okay, so there's news about elections, upcoming elections. So they would report about what is a scenario, what exactly is happening, what are people thinking, what are politicians doing. If there is something catchy, right, about some particular event, they also quote people, they quote politicians, they quote people who are involved in the matter, right, to clarify and to supplement the entire information. By supplement, I mean they're supporting it, right? That whatever we are saying is correct because this person said this, right? So it makes it more clear what exactly happened. Minutes of the meeting. I told you last time also, so minutes of the meetings are prepared during the meetings, okay, professionally. So, of course, you want to document an account about every meeting that happened in the organization. So minutes of the meetings are prepared in every organization whenever there's a meeting happening. So the person who is preparing minutes of the meetings write things exact, of course in brief, but exact, the quotes. Because there might be 5 or 6 people sitting, right? So the person might quote that, this is an agenda that was discussed and the particular board of directors said this. So mostly that is written in the direct speech, right? And yes, so when you are giving a direct quote, it also retains the essence of the whatever the speaker said, right? So whenever I'm going to report it, maybe I will lose some essence of what the other person actually said, right? Maybe my tone would be different. Maybe my word chosen would be not correct and not conveying the exact meaning what the speaker was trying to actually say. Clear? Okay. So now, coming back to the structure, reporting verb, comma, inverted commas. Clear? Okay. The other thing is, now look at the sentence which is within the inverted commas. Right? So this sentence within the inverted commas is the sentence starts with a capital letter. Please remember this. I have seen students making this mistake that whenever there is an inverted comma, they feel that maybe the sentence is being continued, so you don't need to make the first letter capital. No. Whenever you're reporting something, whenever you are telling someone in a direct speech, you are quoting someone exactly the same, right? So this is altogether a different sentence, right? So this has to have its proper punctuation. It starts with a full stop. It can end with a full, it starts with a capital letter. I'm so sorry. It starts with a capital letter, ends with a full stop. It can also end with a question mark, exclamatory mark, anything. But the punctuation has to come before inverted comma closes. Okay? I hope you know this. This is how we say it. Inverted comma opens and inverted comma closes. Clear, guys? Okay, so now we know about the structure, the main parts. Okay. Now, she said Tim is much better. Right? Can you change this into indirect speech? Do you remember something from the last class? Can you guys try? She said Tim is much better. Can you try answering in the indirect speech? Rohit, I have already discussed the scope of direct and indirect speech. I've just discussed it, right? You all are sending me answers to worksheet, I guess, here. Please hold on. If you want to send me the answer, then send me answer later, like after the class. Don't confuse it with whatever I'm doing right now here. Please don't jump to the topics. I don't know why do you guys jump to the topics again and again. Sakshi, just give me, 45 minutes. After 12 o'clock, I'll answer to you how you can send me the answers for sure. Okay, quickly, who's sending me the answer? Utkarsh, you have many doubts. I think you can ask me in the doubt session that we will have. Oh my God, thank you so much, guys. There are so many answers that I've just received. She said that Tim was much better. Good. Most of you have got it right. She is told that, no. It is wrong, Nakul. She is told will not be used here, and we already have said here. And you don't need to use is before told. It is she told that. Right? You don't need to say she is told. No, it's a wrong English. Okay, perfect. So, no. If there is a name mentioned, you do not change it to a pronoun. And Tim is not she, it's a he. Okay? So, no, don't do that. Don't change it. You only change the pronouns, but you cannot change the noun. Alright? You can't change the name of somebody here. Okay, perfect. She said that Tim was much better. So, how did we do that? We discussed it last time. So, we add that when we are changing to reported speech. Yes. After said or reporting verb, we remove comma and we add that. That is a conjunction. Remember, it connects everyone. Okay. So she said that Tim will remain there only because Tim is a subject. Right? Tim is a subject in this sentence. Is will change to was. Remember, I told you simple present changes to simple past, right? So is changes to was. Tim was much better. Perfect. Right. Now quickly next one. I have never worked so hard before. Who can answer to me for this sentence? I have never worked so hard before. Actually, why don't you answer for all? I have never worked so hard. My father said I am planning to buy a new car. He says I am unwell. You have 30 seconds. He said that Tim is so much better. No. You can't add words on your own. No. The only thing that we need to do is we add a conjunction after reporting verb. Then we change the tense of the sentence, which is there, direct sentence or direct statement, if you would call. You cannot change the whole meaning of it. No. Okay. The placing might be different, but you cannot add words on your own. Yes, we use that also, we're told. Sometimes, not every time. Somebody is saying my board is blurred. Is it blurred? Is it readable to you? Okay, I am getting responses. Very well done, guys. Okay, perfect. So let me start quickly and I will be also explaining you how we made the change. I have never worked so hard before. Now here, there is nothing mentioned like reporting verb in the beginning, right? But when you are reporting it, when you are using a reported speech, you will add on your own, right? So we don't know who this I is, so we add he or she here. He told that I will become what? He. Remember I told you? The pronouns change, right? So now I will become he here. He. Guys, I told you whenever we are using present perfect, that will change into past perfect. So have will become had here. Had never worked so hard before. Rest of it remains the same. He told that he had never worked so hard before. Am I clear? Okay, next sentence. My father said, I am planning to buy a new car. So instead of said, can I use some fun word or maybe exclaimed, right? So my father exclaimed, he was planning to buy a new car. This present continuous will change to past continuous. I will change to he because my father said he was planning to buy a new car. He says I am unwell. Who is going to answer me for that? Okay. So he says I am unwell. There's something that I want to appreciate. Yes, whenever there is says here, whenever a reporting verb is in simple present, you do not change the tense of the sentence. It might be in any tense, right? It is not necessary that it's going to be only in simple present. So whichever tense is there, that is not changed except the pronouns are changed, right? So with pronoun, of course, you might have to change a helping verb also, right? But says will remain says only. Says will not become said here. He says that he is unwell. Clear? Yes? So are we clear with the basics here? All of you are clear? Can I move ahead now? These were the basics that you remember. Okay, one last thing that I want to point out here is, Tim is much better. If I add today here, today is an adverb. Adverb, you know what adverbs are? So adverbs are the words that enhances or that modifies the sentence. It makes it better. It gives you some more information. Okay, so now when I'm changing this to reported speech, today will change. There is a table given on 2.18 page of your course material, right? So whenever there's nearness in time or place mentioned, we change that. So there is a table. Today will change into that day. So the sentence will become, Tim was much better that day. Okay? Am I clear, guys? Yes, so there's this entire table that you need to see and then you have to follow. Where to use told and said? You can use it interchangeably, but mostly we look at the direct speech statement or indirect statement, the tone of it, right? So if somebody is giving me information, a simple information, I use told. You know, he told me. He said to me while maybe he's speaking to me directly. Am I clear? Okay, so told is mostly when you're giving in information. Ask is when you are asking a question. Okay, somebody's asking you something. Okay. I'm glad that somebody's practicing. If the things are clear, please write down in the query box that it is clear to you so that it's easier for me to move on. And there are some children who are already doing this. Thank you so much for remembering this. Okay, so can we look at the tense chart? Can we quickly look at the PPT here? Right? Okay, onto your screens. What is wrong with them? Okay, I want you to look at this slide once. Like I told you that it is not necessary that every time you use said, told or asked only. You can use the reporting verbs like asked, inquired, commanded, ordered, requested, advised, suggested, exclaimed, shouted. right? Totally depends on the sentence. If you look at the examples here, it says, Ram said how hot the soup is. Isn't an exclamatory sentence here? Yes. Mostly in terms, when you are talking about exclamatory sentences, use the word exclaimed, right? So it makes it easier to understand that it was an exclamatory sentence. Okay? Ramesh exclaimed that the soup was hot. Okay? In the indirect statement, you do not use exclamatory mark or question mark. I told you this last time also. It changes to full stop only. You just have to modify the entire sentence. So how hot the soup is becomes subject comes in front. Subject is the soup here, right? And then the verb and the, and the adjective or whatever complement is there. The soup was hot. Stir it with your spoon, his sister said. It's an advice, right? So you're mixing something, or you just put some sugar in your tea and you forgot to stir. So I will advise you that it is better that you stir it with a spoon. Otherwise, the sugar will be collected below your tea, of course. So the indirect statement becomes his sister advised him, right? Now, why did we add him here? Can you see a him after advice? Right? Because if you look at the direct statement, it says his sister said, right? So after advise you, it's better to add a pronoun so it makes a sentence clear. He advised him. His sister advised him. Whom did his sister advise? Him. To stir it with a spoon. So in terms of imperative sentences, whenever there is imperative, isn't this an imperative sentence, guys? Stir it with your spoon. This is an imperative sentence, right? So imperative sentence, advice is imperative sentence. So whenever you are changing imperative sentence, you add to, right? And you don't make much of a change in the entire sentence. So the sentence becomes stir it with a spoon. Right? Instead of your spoon. Because you've already changed to him. He advised him. Right? To stir it with a spoon. My son said to his mother, the son said to his mother, I shall never be rude to you. Right? So it's kind of a promise, right? The son is making to his mother. The son promised his mother that he would never be rude. Okay. Now, whenever there is shall or will, it changes to would. Okay, again a rule, you have to write it down. Remember I told you take notes. So whenever there is a will or shall, you change it to would. His mother said, he promised to his mother that he would never. Rest of the things don't change. I just becomes he here. Shall changes to would. Rest of it remains the same except you. Now you will become her here. Whom did he say? Her, the mother, right? Okay. So, he would never be rude to her. Why has the clock stopped? Thought Peter. Okay. Now again, there's another good reporting verb here, thought. So thought will become wonder. Thought, wonder, you're thinking, just imagine why it happened. So Peter wondered why the clock had stopped in terms of interrogative sentence. In interrogative sentence, why will remain the same? Why will not change? Subject comes in front because now we are changing interrogative sentence to a simple sentence. So why the clock has stopped. Has stopped will become to past perfect. It will become had stopped here. Right? We are changing the question to a sentence here. Am I clear? So I have kind of in this slide, I will explain you further later. But in this slide, I have explained you about how to change. This was declarative sentences, right? And in this slide, I have told you about exclamatory sentence, imperative sentence, and interrogative sentence. Trust me, it is super easy if you listen to me very carefully. Okay. Quickly rule. This we have already done, right? Simple present to simple past, present continuous to past continuous, present perfect to past perfect, and most of you remember also. So I will not waste my time here right now. Okay, I think I left future here. Yes. Past perfect and past perfect continuous do not change except their Except there, this thing changes. Except the pronouns change. Okay, future. I will finish my reports in 2 days. I just told you whenever there is will, you use would. So it becomes, he said that he would finish his reports in 2 days. Future continuous changes to conditional continuous. Now what does that mean? My helper said I will be making the tea in some time. Right? My helper said that she would be making. So will again becomes would here. Be making the tea sometime. Okay. Now, next. When the reporting verb or the tense doesn't change. So, whenever you're talking about a habit, right? Whenever you're talking about universal truth, whenever there is a sentence that is in simple present tense. Simply. You know what simple present tense is? When do we use simple present tense? We use simple present tense during a universal truth. We are talking during the habit. So whenever we are using this, these things do not change. Whenever we are changing from direct to indirect here. The boy said, I brush my teeth every day. The boy said that he brushes his teeth every day. It's a simple present. This is talking about a habit that happens every day. So this will not change. Okay. This is an exception. The teacher said the sun rises in the east. This is a universal truth. This is a fact. So this will not change again. Now, she said that my son wants to be an actor. Right? So this is an aspiration. This is a desire. So this will not change again. She said that her son wants to be an actor. Nothing will change. Everything will remain the same. Just the pronouns will change. Like in the case of my son, it will become her son. Okay, I will become he in the first sentence. I have told you about interrogative sentence. Let's just look at it once again. Comma and inverted commas will be removed. Conjunction that will not be used. Okay, and interrogative sentence will change to assertive sentence. Assertive sentence is declarative sentence. I told you this when we were doing types of sentences. And the reporting verb will, such as said, tell, told will be replaced by asked, asked, inquired. Am I clear? Paul said, what time does the bus come? Paul asked what time the bus came. Okay. Tara, when does the show begin? There has to be a question mark. Please add a question mark after begin. Tara asked when the show began. Am I clear? Yes? Okay. Now, if you see what has happened here. There was does mentioned in both the sentences. What and when remains as it is, right? So, does will change because we are changing the simple present tense to a simple past, right? It is a simple present and simple past here. Does come and begin. So, begin changed to began. Does is removed. We don't need does here. Right? And then when we changed come to came, again we don't need the does. So we remove it again in the interrogative sentences. Are you guys along with me? Are you understanding what we are doing? Yes, it is super easy. It is not as complicated as active passive, I must say. Okay, modals. Whenever I'm teaching modals, please listen to me very carefully because I feel modals is the kind of verbs that is used mostly when you're working, okay? Because you want to be polite, you have to request someone, you have to take some permission, you have to show your ability somewhere. So, you use a lot of modal verbs, okay? Now, can changes into could, right? But if there is could, that could doesn't change. Am I clear? So now, I can speak English. She said she could speak English. Okay. Must into must or had to. Whenever you're using must, it can change into must. It can remain as must or it can change into had to. I must go to the bank and get some money. She said she must go to the bank or she had to go to the bank and get some money. Now, the things don't change really in the sentence. Right? Because had to and must is in itself is changing the tense or tone of the sentence. May will change into might. right? Might again doesn't change, and should remains unchanged. Okay, right? Nothing else changes in the sentence. Whenever there is modal there, nothing else will change in the sentence. You will simply add that. You will simply change the pronoun. You will simply change the modal that needs to be changed, and rest of the object and everything remains the same. This I have told you, and the table is given in your book also on the page number 2.18, I said. Yes. So this will change to that. Whenever there is this in the direct speech, you will change that when you are changing from direct to indirect. These will change into those. Here will change into there. Now will change into then. Today will change into that day. Tomorrow will change into the next or following day. Yesterday will change into the day before or the previous day. For example, the interview said to the young man, "We will let you know our decision by tomorrow." The interviewer said to the young man that, this part is clear, we will change into they, will change into would, let, you will change into him, they would let him know their decision, are will change into, there's so many pronouns that needs to be changed. Otherwise, we're not changing the sentence that much, right? And in the end, by tomorrow will change into by the next day. Clear? So you should know these changes. This will change to that and all of that. Clear? Understand the mood of imperative sentence I have already told you. Yes. Nothing changes in the sentence again except a pronoun, first of all. Second, whenever we're changing from direct to indirect, we only add to. Father ordered his son to. Clear? My mother commanded me to. My mother must have commanded me for something. Okay, there's no that here. We only use to. Clear? And you just need to look at the tone. So you need to see if it is a request, if it is a command, if it is an order, if it is a suggestion. So you will use reporting verb according to that. Exclamative sentence, again I have told you, nothing changes as such, right? So you just express your emotion, and we mostly use exclaimed or greeted, so these kinds of words, right? And nothing will change except the tense here, right? The simple present will change into simple past here. What a handsome man he was, right? How are you? How I was. Pronoun and the tense will change according to the table that I've already explained to you in the previous slide. Are we clear? I don't think there was much of a difficulty to understand reported and indirect speech here, right? Are you guys clear? Yes, can we do a small exercise to see how much we know, right? Okay. I'll give you 5 minutes to go through these sentences and quickly prepare the answers, and just tell me if the answers are ready. You don't have to write the answer. There's too many of sentences here. Okay, so you have 5 minutes. I will start discussing, or 3 minutes I would say. 3 minutes should be more than enough. I will start discussing at 11:41. Can we start? Okay. The first sentence says, the commander commanded, march on soldiers. And soldiers, oh gosh. Okay. The commander. Are you guys can see this, or do you want me to enlarge it a little bit? No, I can't do that. Okay. So the commander said, march on soldiers. What do commanders generally do? Do they command? Right? So we will use the reporting verb as commanded here instead of said. The commander commanded. It's an imperative sentence, remember. Right? So we will add to after commanded plus the subject, soldiers, and then the action. The commander commanded to soldiers to march on. Or the subject and then to. The commander commanded soldiers to march on. Okay? So it is before the verb that you will add to here. The commander commanded soldiers to march on. The father said, do you still intend to leave your job? Father inquired, or father asked him if he still intended to leave his job. Father asked him if, you know why if here? Because there is a doubt here, if he wants to leave the job or not. So we will add if here. We add if and whether according to the question that is being asked. Okay. So father asked him if. Now he still, intend will become intended, simple past, intended to leave his job. His job. Your job will become his job here, right? Ali said to him, go away. Ali ordered him to go away. He said to me, work hard at your studies. It's an advice. So she advised me, not she advised to me. Okay. She advised me to work hard at my studies. She advised me to work hard at my studies. She said to me, can you speak English? Right? So how would you do that? She asked me or she said to me. It's a question, so you will change said to ask, right? Or maybe inquired here, right? He inquired me if I could speak English. If I, you will become I, can will become could because we are changing a question to sentence. If I could speak, I is a subject that comes in the front, then the can will change to could. She inquired me if I could speak English. I said, what a lovely girl she is. I exclaimed, what a lovely girl she was. She said to me, be punctual. She advised me to be punctual. He said, what is the street number of your house? He asked what the street number was of my house. What the street number was of my house. He says to me, where were you yesterday? She asks me, right? Where were you? How will you answer? Where I had been. Simple past becomes to past perfect here. Yes. Where I had been. Yesterday will change to the day before. So yesterday will say the day before. Where I had been day before. She said, Hooray, my brother has got the first position in the exam. She exclaimed with joy, right? That her brother had gotten the first position in the exam. The got will become the third form. He said, what a mistake you have made. He exclaimed with anger or astonishment, what a mistake I had made. Clear? Are we clear with the answers here? Yes, it was little difficult, but I hope you were able to cope up with me. If you guys are done with this and you have understood, please mention it you have understood so that I can move on. Are we clear here? 6 are not bad, Ria. They are good because you've just learned the concept. That's fine. Yes, Yash, you could have used ordered in the first sentence, commanded, ordered, that's fine. But commanded always sounds better. Muskan, very good, you got it right. Ria, no, the commander told the soldiers to march on, no. The commander, told is correct, but it doesn't convey the exact meaning, okay? So use commanded or ordered here. Shravani, you are right. What was the street number of my house? He advised me to be punctual. Very good. Yes, it can be simply be exclaimed instead of astonished. Okay, so I believe you all are done and you have understood because most of you have. If there is still any doubt, you can of course mention it in the query box and I will answer to you after the class or maybe post the break that we take after 12 o'clock. Okay, the last section that I just need to finish before I start with vocabulary is how do we change from indirect to direct? How do we change it? I want you to look at your boards. You just have to reverse whatever we have learned so far. Okay? Okay, so now from indirect to direct, again we will come back to our all the basics. So in indirect to direct, when we're changing to direct sentence, you need to remember to add inverted commas. We need to remember to add comma. We need to remember after the reporting verb, and we need to use the reporting verb correctly. We need to look at the tense of the. We need to look at the tense of the indirect speech statement, and then we need to change it back to the direct statement accordingly, right? Yes, yesterday can be used as previous day. Okay, so I'll reverse it. He said that Tom was unwell. Okay, he said that Tom was unwell. So he said remains the same. He said. Now instead of that, we will use comma here, right? Then we start with an inverted comma and we change it to simple present. Tom is unwell. Simple. This should be easy, so I'm not going to spend more time. It's the same case with active passive also. If you know how to change from active to passive, you can change it from passive to active also. Right? So it is easy if you understand it. Okay, just one thing that you should remember, the reporting verb. Please remember that if it is said, inquired, in the past tense, the simple past tense of the reporting verb, then you will change the tense of the sentence. But remember, if it is says or tells, if it's a simple present form of the verb, you will not change the tense of your verb. Please remember this. So this tense will be not changed if it was he says that. So if it was he says that, then maybe we would have left it as it is. Am I clear? Yes. Clear? Can we move on? So, can I start with the next topic? If there is any doubt, you can please write it in your query boxes. Otherwise, I'll start with your chapter number 3. In indirect speech, we always change from present to past. Yes, we have to follow the rule, but it also depends on the reporting verb. Please remember this. If the reporting verb is in the simple present tense, then we do not change the tense, right? But if the reporting verb is in the past tense, then we change the tense of the direct speech according to the rule that I have already explained in the table. Jay, I don't know what are your doubts. Can you please write it again? Otherwise, I'll have to find what are your doubts. It's very difficult. There are too many comments. I had to finish. I had to finish the speech part. Okay. So I am assuming that you all are done with your, and you've already understood chapter number 2. I repeat once again. So for those who have not heard me in the beginning, I have already uploaded a worksheet of this entire chapter. Please download it and start doing it. We might have a doubt session after once your course is finished. So in that doubt session, I would be discussing all the answers and everything with you. Can you give more worksheet for us to practice? Yes, I will upload some more worksheets. Okay, based on chapter number 2 and then chapter number 3. So there will be, maybe I'll upload 2 more worksheets so you can see that. Start doing it and then we will discuss the answers later. Okay, by that time you would also know which concept is not clear to you or which concept is clear to you. So you can ask the doubts accordingly. Okay, okay. So moving on. Our next chapter is vocabulary. Now, I hope, do you know what is vocabulary? Vocabulary is basically your knowledge about words, right? How many words do you know? Right? How many words we can speak, how many words we can write. So that all counts into vocabulary. I feel there's so many words that we speak in a day that we are not even aware of, that we, that are, basically the stock of vocabulary is so high that we don't even, consciously know that how many words do we actually know. There are so many words that we listen, there are so many words that we speak, there are so many words that we write, there are so many words that we read, and there's so many words that our mind actually processes, right? So consciously and subconsciously. So vocabulary is basically your knowledge about how many words do you know. The word bank, right? And why this vocabulary is important. Why do we do that? Why do we learn about new words every day? And why it is so important to know about words? The higher the knowledge of the vocabulary is, the better it's going to be for you when you are conversing, when you're writing, when you're reading. So your understanding of the language gets better, right? So this is why the vocabulary is very important for us, right? And we constantly, as a human, we are constantly working towards learning new words each day. The learning doesn't stop. It is not possible for a humankind to know all the words that are present in the dictionary. No. So that knowledge we develop over the time, over the years, when we are studying, when we start conversing, and when we start communicating with other people or outside our home, when we are communicating with our teachers, maybe with our bosses, with our teammates. So every day there is a learning process. No person can know about all the words that are present in the dictionary, right? So every day, and that should be our aim, to learn new words each day to make our language even better. Right? So every time you learn a new word, you should make it an aim that you are practicing that word, or you are using that word again and again in your conversations. Of course, if it fits into the context of the conversation, right? So that you can practice it and you can see and analyze that in how many contexts a word can be used. Clear? Yes? Are you able to understand what I'm trying to say here? Right. So I will be continuing this, and I will be explaining you in details about vocabularies, that why it is important for us, what are the types of vocabularies that we have, and so all of that I'm going to discuss after the break once we come back. So I want you to finish the chapter 2 in your mind and get ready for chapter number 3. So 5 minutes break that I'm going to take, and I will be back at 12:04. Okay. Sir, 5 minute का break लेंगे अभी. Yes, sir. हाँ. Right. So, welcome back. We have started with chapter vocabulary, and I was telling you that vocabulary is actually a word stock, or let's say it's a word bank that we have, the body of words that we use in a particular language, right? And I just told you that how do we get to know about these words? We learn about these words, or we get to know about these words when we are reading, when we are talking to people, or when we hear them. This is a time when we mostly get to know new words, right? Writing, whenever you learn a new word, that the more words you know, that the more enhanced your writing will be. So, which is why the knowledge of words is so important, right? The more words that you know, that helps you to articulate your thoughts or your message in a better way, right? You can convey whatever you're trying to say in a more concise, or maybe a more in better way, more effective. So vocabulary is the most important, a fundamental tool of communication. Remember, you learned about communication in first chapter, right? So grammar is of course important, but how will you use grammar if you do not know about the words? So vocabulary is very important. So when you have vocabulary and when you have knowledge about words, that is when you use grammar to construct the sentences and you construct your messages, right? And then that makes your communication easier. So the better knowledge about grammar and vocabulary you have, the better effective communication, the more effective communication you will experience, right? So I want you to look at this PPT, and I will be explaining you how having good vocabulary will help you. Okay. Vocabulary, word stock, lexicon, lexis, these are all synonyms of vocabulary. They all mean the same. Vocabulary knowledge requires not only knowledge of word meanings, but it requires the usage of words in the appropriate context in the natural way. What does it mean? Vocabulary knowledge is not only having knowledge of word meaning, but it also requires about usage of words in the appropriate context or in a natural way, right? You shouldn't be using a vocabulary that doesn't fit into a context. You shouldn't be using a vocabulary that doesn't come natural to you, right? Okay, so why having vocabulary is so important? Comprehension. Of course, if you do not know the knowledge of words, if you do not know the word meanings, you will not understand whatever you're reading, or maybe when you're having a conversation with someone, right? So if you do not know the meanings of the words that are being used in that particular context, you will not be able to comprehend, right? By comprehend, I mean you won't be able to understand. So you will not get the exact meaning of it. You will not get the entire meaning of whatever the context or whatever the conversation that you are having, right? So for the comprehension, vocabulary is important to understand the thing successfully. Next comes the articulation. I just told you the vocabulary helps you to articulate your message, your whatever you're trying to say in a better way. Articulation is very, very important to have an effective communication. If you cannot articulate your thoughts, right, and your message with the appropriate words and with the proper use of grammar, you won't be able to express yourself the way you want to. Ability to grasp ideas and think more logically, right? If you're reading a text, right? If you're reading a text, within that text, there are about, I would say, 5 words that you do not know. There are 5 words that you don't know the meaning of, right? And you don't even try to find the meanings, right? First, you will not get the entire meaning or the whole meaning of that text first, right? So when you do not understand the text, you cannot even grasp the idea. You cannot grasp what that context was trying to tell you, right? If you cannot grasp the idea, how will you think? If you're trying to find, there's a text, it's a problem text, right? And you have to find a solution to it. If you do not understand what that text is trying to tell you, what the text is trying to convey, then how will you think about it, and how will you think logically, and how will you find a solution of it, right? So again, if you remember in your school, your English teachers must have told you, read, read, read. And when you are reading, mark the words that you don't know and find the meaning right away. You should always have a dictionary with you. Remember, there used to be rules in most of the schools to carry dictionary to school every day, and to have dictionary always handy whenever you're reading something new, right? This is why the teachers used to suggest this. Because if you find, whenever you're reading, right, if I say that, okay, I don't know the meaning of this word, and if I make an effort to find the meaning of that word, first, I will understand the context that I'm reading. Second, I will always remember the meaning of that word, right? Because what I just did was, I found the meaning of the new word, and I've also read how that word is used in a particular context, right? So that word you will never forget. So ideally and logically, I would say you should always find the meaning right away, right? And in our phones also, these are the smartphones. In many phones now, you have an option of clicking the word and quickly finding the meaning of the word. You don't have to look for the dictionary, or you don't have to go to Google for that, right? When you're reading, while reading only, you can find the meaning of the word. So you should always do that to improve your vocabulary. Engage in conversation, right? Again, to have a good conversation, you should have a good knowledge about language, a good knowledge about vocabulary that you're using, right? So professionally, I would say, whatever you're doing, wherever you are, right? You should you should have a good and rich vocabulary if you want to have an interesting conversation with people, right? So, if you don't know how to use new words, because repetition of words can make the conversation boring, right? So every time you have to use a new word to express yourself, maybe to express that in the same context, you can use 2-3 different words to express yourself. That makes the conversation very engaging and interesting. Creating impression, of course. What is the core part of a communication is vocabulary, how you use it, right? That creates an impression. So vocabulary is a significant and the core part of creating or having an effective communication, and then creating an impression when you're having conversation with somebody. 3 types of vocabulary words that are there. We categorize the vocabulary words into 3 types, which is the basic vocabulary that we all know. There's a high frequency and multiple meaning vocabulary, and then there is subject related vocabulary, right? Basic vocabulary is that vocabulary that we speak every day, right? High frequency and multiple meaning vocabulary is again words that have different meanings, right? And then we use it quite often. Subject related vocabulary, like I just said. So if, for example, you are a doctor, right? So you will be using a lot of vocabulary that is involved in the field of medical. If you're a CA, you would be using vocabulary that is used mostly in your profession, right? That vocabulary, maybe another person will not understand. There is always a subject-related vocabulary, right? And profession-related. So whatever you're doing, there's some vocabulary related to it that you should always know, especially when you are talking to like-minded people. And that is when you use this vocabulary a lot. Okay. So now the next is, I hope this is clear to you guys. So this is why, and after having said all of this, I hope that you will try to improve your vocabulary or try to enhance your vocabulary. I will tell you how you can enhance your vocabulary in the later slides. Okay. Types of vocabulary. Now we will divide the vocabulary into 4 types based on how do we actually learn it and how do we use listening vocabulary, speaking vocabulary, reading vocabulary, and then there is writing vocabulary. right? It is said that in listening vocabulary, most adults can identify and comprehend almost 50,000 words. Okay? In speaking, we could barely use 10,000 words for communication. So, when we are listening, we understand about 50,000 of words. That's an average of what an adult does. When we are using it while speaking, we only use 10,000 of that vocabulary words that we know. Right? That is a basic scientific analysis. In reading vocabulary refers to the words we recognize when we read any text. So reading vocabulary is basically when we recognize words when we are reading. Okay? Then there is writing vocabulary, the vocabulary that we use while we are writing and when we are expressing ourselves during writing something. Okay? So these are the 4 kinds of vocabulary: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Now, if you see, if I have written oral and receptive listening vocabulary, right? So, this vocabulary can be divided into oral and receptive vocabulary. By receptive, I mean when you listen, you receive it, right? You get to know about words. Orally, you can also listening is oral conversation, right? Yes. So you basically, whatever your listening vocabulary is, it comprises of oral vocabulary and receptive vocabulary. Now speaking. Speaking is again an oral conversation, part of oral conversation. So you get this vocabulary or you use this vocabulary while orally and when you are expressing yourself, right? So you use mostly your speaking vocabulary while talking and while expressing yourselves, right? Reading vocabulary. Reading vocabulary you use mostly when you are writing and when you are reading. So when you are reading or when you are listening, you receive some vocabulary and then you use that reading vocabulary in writing also. Writing vocabulary is used for expressing and for writing, of course, right? So when you are writing, you express yourself. So whatever writing vocabulary the knowledge that you have, that you use it to express yourself and while writing something. Are we clear till here? Yes. So are we clear about all the 4 types of vocabulary? That is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Right? Now, effective ways to build vocabulary. This is super, super, super important. Okay. And please take a note of it. Most of these ways you already know because you've been taught since your school time, since your childhood. But I want to just reinforce them and repeat them once again to you so that to tell you that this is not a one-time process. This is a constant process. This is something that you keep doing for your life, right? You keep repeating this. So this is how you build a good or rich vocabulary. Be aware of words. That is the first thing that you should know, right? So you shouldn't use the word of which you are not, the meaning that is not clear to you. You should never use a word whose meaning is not clear to you. That way the entire context or the entire conversation may go wrong. Haven't missed a slide. Right. So you should never use a word that is not, if you do not have a knowledge of any word. Because that way, if you're using a word in a context, the entire context goes wrong because you used a wrong word. Right? Having said that, whenever you read a new word and whenever you read a meaning, along with that, you should also read and you should also know the context in which these words are used. Right? Are you understanding what I'm trying to say here? Be aware of words means that you should know the meaning and the context in which a word can be used. Read. That is the first and the foremost tip. Read. Read as much as you can. Whatever you want to read. Any specific magazine, any newspaper, any journal, anything that you would like to read. But you should always read something beyond your academic things and beyond your studies, the books that are referred to you as per your syllabus and curriculum. Because if you read beyond that, you will build your vocabulary beyond that. Right? So you should always read. You should always have a habit of reading something at least. Nowadays, all of us have smartphones. So even if you do not read a newspaper, I'm sure you can take out about 15-20 minutes in a day to read articles on your phone. You can pick any newspaper. You can make any magazine that you like. You can pick any topic that you like. What I am trying to say here is that you should always have a habit of reading. Right? You can start a book, or maybe you can have you can make it a point that, okay, every day I'm going to read 5 pages of this book. You don't have to finish that book in one day, right? The idea is to inculcate the habit of reading. The idea is to inculcate or learn the new words or learn vocabulary, right? So reading always helps, and reading also helps to widen your perception about things. It gives you knowledge, it enhances your knowledge as well. So reading is always good. So, I don't know how many of you are going to start this from today onwards, but I seriously suggest that you should start reading. Pick a book, pick a magazine, pick a newspaper. Having said that, along with reading, you should always have a dictionary also, right? You should always keep a dictionary handy. Nowadays, our phones are handy, so we always have a dictionary app, or maybe we can just Google a word. Every time we listen to a new word, or every time you hear a new word, or every time you read a new word. So till date, you should always have a habit of using dictionary. It's a good habit that you can keep with yourself for lifetime. Maintain a journal. Again, this thing, your teachers must have told you in school, your English teacher or your class teacher must have always told you about maintaining a journal. How does that help you? So you can maintain a journal of new words. Every time you hear a new word, you can just write it on your journal. The other thing that you can do is, you can also maintain a journal for yourself where you can write your personal thoughts, right? So that personal thoughts can also include the new words that you have learned in that day, right? In that way, that will also help you in writing. In that way, it will also tell you how to use words in a written context, right? Use new words. You should always try to use new words while talking to people and while writing. Okay, so try to use new words. The more times and more often you will use new words, you will get used to of those words. So in no time, those new words will become part of your everyday vocabulary, right? The vocabulary that you use every day. There might be some words that you can include in your everyday conversation. Study new words regularly. I have already told you. So when you will be reading, you will anyway be finding new words each day. Go back to your roots. Now, what does that mean? It means that you should learn about the words, the root words also. You should, removing the prefixes and suffixes, you should also know about the root words. That what does a root word mean? Right? And you should also go back studying about Latin and Greek roots. I hope you know that English evolved from Latin and Greek. And there's many words in English that comes from Latin and Greek words. Okay. Attempt word puzzles and play word games. Now, this is a very modernized way of learning vocabulary. This is not something that your teachers must have told you in school. But nowadays, now that we are so used to of technology, why not learn vocabulary games? And why not learn, rather than wasting time on your social media or just general games that you keep playing, why not try to attempt some word games? This is one game that is my favorite, and I used to play it with my friend, which was, I think, word game. It's available in an Apple store. So it's kind of a scramble or crossword, you can say, but you play it online. So you can play with your friends, like while just sitting at your home. And that's very interesting. That actually helps you. You can also play a lot of Speller Bee games that are available with many newspapers and magazines. So I like to play Speller Bee on New York Times app. And then you can also play the crossword. So every day there is a new game, Spella Bee, and every day is a new games crossword available there, right? It's a good exercise and it's a good pastime. So in a Spella Bee, there will be some letters given to you. You have to just build the words using those letters. So you can test yourself how many words that you can make using the given letters. And that can also tell you how many vocabulary words you know. It's interesting. You will get used to it if you start playing. Okay. Another type of vocabulary. Now I'm going to tell you about the things that we are going to study in this course, in this henceforth chapter. Now, synonyms. Synonyms are basically the words that have the same meaning, right? First word is happy, content. Happy can be said. You can also, instead of using happy, you can use the word content, joyful, delightful. So these words can be used in place of happy. Now, what is the benefit of knowing synonyms? Now, synonyms help you to, again, build your vocabulary, and it helps you to have a better conversation, effective conversation, and when you're writing, it improves your writing skills. So I used to always tell my students, happy is a very simple word, right? Everybody understands what happy is, right? But if you use the word delightful, right? Or if you use the word ecstatic, right? So that will that will make your text even better, right? Now, foreign words. So there are few foreign words that we have added in our everyday conversation. Bon voyage means happy journey. Bon appetit, have a good time eating. So these are foreign words that we have already included in our everyday conversation. Connotations. Blue is a color, but it is also a word that is used to describe sadness. Now, there are words that can have different meanings around it. There are words that are used, they are in a particular context. They are contextual words. Blue is a color, right? But it is also a word that is used to describe sadness. Antonym. Antonyms are basically the opposites. Bad, good, thin, fat. So these are all antonyms. Collocations. Now, collocations are some words that are used, some group of words that are always used together in the same context. Early riser, light sleeper. Idioms. Idioms are the group of words or phrases that have carried meaning, a contextual meaning over the generations or over the time of period, a long time of period, I would say. Right, so that is called idioms. Phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are those verbs that has a combination of a verb and a preposition, and they are used together. Break down, to feel sad, to feel shattered is break down. Give up, when you give up on something, when you lose hope, right, that is called give up. Okay, so we'll start with our first topic of the day, connotations. Before I start with this, I would like to just read your comments if there is any problems that you guys have. So I'm just stopping the PPT for a while and I'm going to read if there is any doubts that you guys have. Somebody asked me what is the meaning of articulation. Articulation is basically, by articulating, I mean that how you are framing or how you're putting words together, right, in a particular context. If you want to express a thought, how you put it in your words, that gives the best information about how you're feeling or expresses you the best. Hari, Priya, we will be discussing every type of vocabulary in detail. So you will be getting a list of examples. Ayush, why do you have to always jump the topics? Tell me. Receptive vocabulary is basically what you understand when you understand a word when you read or listen. Okay. Okay, so I don't think there is any specific doubts that you have. Is it all clear? Whatever I've told you so far, can you mention it in a query box that is it is all clear so that I can just move on? All right, so we are going to start with connotations. To understand the word connotations, it is important for you to understand the word denotations first. Now, denotations is the actual meaning of the word without reference to the emotional association. Connotation is basically a word that has an emotional or psychological association. Like I just said, color, blue, right? So you can say Monday blues. You must have heard the word Monday blues if you're not feeling like all excited about Monday yet. Feeling is I'm feeling blue, like I'm feeling sad, right? So these are the psychological and emotional associations with the word that a word carries. It goes beyond to a strict meaning. There is no strict meaning. So strict meaning of blue is the color blue, right? Actual meaning of the word is blue, but we have some emotional associations with it, that it expresses feelings, thoughts, and images. Types of connotations. It can have positive, it can have negative, and it can have neutral connotations. Now, connotations can have three kinds of associations. A connotation can be used positively, it can be used negatively, and it can be used neutral as well, right? So it is very important that whenever you're using a connotation, you should always know that what that connotation actually means. There might be a chance when you want to say something positively and you might say something negative, right? For example, you want to say someone that you are, he is still so young at the age of 40. If I say he's so young still at the age of 40, right? So young is a good neutral word, right? Now, if I say someone, he's so childish at the age of 40, childish is a negative word. I cannot call someone childish at the age of 40. That means he's doing something wrong that is making me feel like that he's childlike. Being young is okay. By young, you mean that you are younger than your age. But if I call someone childish, that means I'm comparing a child to a person, an adult to with a child here, right? So that makes the entire meaning wrong. That makes the entire sentence rude. Am I clear? So, so this is young and childish, right? Another I would say is the man is so headstrong in this project. Like, there is this one person who doesn't want to take anybody's opinion. He is so headstrong that, whatever I'm saying is completely right. But if I say, this man is so determined to finish the project so successfully, determined is a positive word. When I use the word determined, that means I am trying to say here that this person has motivation, this person has this focus of finishing this project successfully, right? But headstrong is a negative word. Both means that you have a strong will to do something. But when I use the word headstrong, it is a negative word, that this person is not ready to listen to anyone. This person just wants to do everything by himself and doesn't want to listen. So again, using the word headstrong and determined is very important. Headstrong is a negative word, right? I should also tell you this, that many people use the word headstrong in a they think that it's a positive word, and people use it very casually, that okay, she's so headstrong. No, headstrong is kind of little negative because it makes somebody very finicky about things and very stubborn about things. All right. Okay. So I hope you understood what does a positive and negative connotation means, right? So it goes beyond the strict meaning, like I just said, right? Okay. Is there anything that I have just left? Okay. So like I just said, I just gave you an example of how a connotation can be misleading. Maybe I want to appreciate someone positively, that, look at her determination of doing the work. And I might use the word headstrong for her. So headstrong is a negative word. I might portray that person in a negative picture, right? So using connotation in an appropriate context in an appropriate way is important. Am I clear? Yes. So you know what connotations are now? Okay. Do you want to look at this slide? Oh, there's a very important line that I've written in my PPT. A language is subjective in nature. It can invoke different psychological reactions from different people, right? So if I say something in a sentence, every person has a different way of taking it. Am I clear? Everybody has a different way to take it. Now, I want you to look at this example here. Smell, fragrance, stench. Okay, smell is a neutral word. Fragrance is a positive word. So whenever you're talking about some good smell, you use the word fragrance. Like, the fragrance of the perfume is too beautiful, or it's so good. Stench is a negative, when there is a bad smell, right? Store, save, and hoard. So if I'm saying you can store this for future, right? It's a neutral word, right? And if I say you can save this for your future, it's again a positive word. Now, okay, now I will explain you these words in terms of coronavirus, this COVID-19 lockdown. During COVID-19, many people took an initiative to save food, right? So they were trying to save food. They were not wasting food much. And because we knew that there's a lockdown situation in the country, so everybody should consciously use whatever resources we have. But there were some people who were hoarding. So, by hoarding, you are just filling up things without thinking about anyone else, right? You are saving. Yes, you are saving for your future. But hoarding means you are unnecessarily saving things. You are unnecessarily filling up things in your house. So that is hoarding here. Inactive, laid back, and lazy, right? Inactive. I feel inactive these days. It's a neutral word. If I say, I feel laid back these days. Okay. I feel lazy these days. Now, lazy is a negative word, right? You use the word lazy generally for the people who don't want to do anything, right? Just don't even want to move, right? Laid back is, yes, you are not feeling like working actively. You are a little lazy, inactive. But laid back is a positive word and lazy is a negative word to use. Young, youthful, and childish, I've already explained it to you. Economical, thrifty, and miserly. Right? He likes to spend economically. He looks at, I would say, economical things. That means you're conscious about your spending. That is a neutral word. You're conscious about how you want to spend, what you want to spend. Thrifty. Thrifty is a positive word, right? And miserly is a negative word. right? Miserly is basically saying somebody who doesn't like to spend even in the situation where you should spend, right? So that is where miserly is used. Oh. There are some more examples. I want you to take 2 minutes to go through it, and then we will move ahead to the example here. As if you have some doubts with, related to today's session, you can please keep writing in your query box. I would like to answer to them before the session ends for today. Are we done? So this is actually the examples of connotations and few more examples besides what is mentioned in your course material. That is very good and very nicely explained. But these are some more examples. Okay, so now this is a little exercise that we are going to do. You have to look at these words and you have to tell me if it has a positive connotation or negative connotation. Again, you have 3 minutes to go through this. Go through all the sentences and see if it has a positive connotation or negative connotation. Okay, so the sandwich is moist. The sandwich is moist. The moist is a positive connotation. The sandwich is, I hope you know it's a sandwich, it's not sandwich. Sandwich. The sandwich is soggy. The soggy is a negative connotation. Like, when you have a sandwich, you like it little moist, right? You don't want it to be too dry. But soggy means that, it is not good for eating now, right? So soggy is that it's too overly moist. So both mean the same, moist, right? But soggy is a negative connotation. She is very assertive. She is pushy. Assertive is positive. Pushy is negative. This dress is expensive, but it is definitely worth a price. This dress is overpriced. So expensive is positive, overpriced is negative. How you decide positive and negative here? So now you maybe wanted to buy a dress and that the price is also justified. It's just that you can't buy it right now. You don't have enough money. So it is expensive, but you like the dress and you feel the price is also okay. But overpriced is when you do not feel the dress is, the price is overpriced. That the price that is mentioned is not worth it. So that is overpriced. So you always leave a dress saying that this is overpriced, right? So expensive is a positive side of saying that, it's expensive, but it's worth the money. The fragrance of roses has filled the garden. Fragrance is positive. Get rid of those eggs. The stench is overwhelming. That means the bad smell of eggs is overwhelming. I am not able to sit here. The coffee is too bitter. The coffee is too strong for my liking. Bitter is a negative connotation. It is totally bitter. I cannot have it. Coffee is in a good way of saying it. Coffee is too strong for my liking. Like, I can have it, but this is not according to my taste. So that is too strong. Am I clear? Yes. All right. So, coming back here, this was about connotations. So we started with vocabulary. We done connotation. I want you to please go back and read and find out more about connotations. So every time you read a word, please find out if this is a good way or it's saying in a negative way or it's saying in a neutral way. Right. Now the next topic will explain your connotations in a better way. That is synonyms and antonyms. Right. Synonyms, I told you, are the words that have a same meaning. Antonyms are the opposites. That the words that means totally opposites to each other. Am I clear? Now, how does having a knowledge about synonym and antonyms can help you? Let's start with synonyms first. Synonyms is basically, of course, I told you that if you know what other words can be used in place of, for example, again, I picked the example of happy. So if you know the synonyms of happy, one, if you're having a conversation about being happy, you can use different words. You can use different synonyms to make your conversation even interesting. If you're writing, you can use synonyms to make your writing, the piece of writing interesting using different words. That means the same, right? That is interesting to read when you have so many new words to read. Synonyms also, if you know the synonyms, then you can also find out the connotations, right? The synonyms are often have different connotations to them. Alright, so you have to use synonyms also very carefully based on the connotations that you're going to use. Okay, now, there's an example given here. Cost, charge, and fee. Both mean the same. Cost, charge, and fee. In all three cases, you are giving money to someone, right? But how are they used differently? Cost is cost of something. Right? Charge is when somebody is charging you money, and fee is when you're paying somebody for their services. Right? So cost is you give when you're buying something. Right? Charge is when somebody's charging you for their services or for something, maybe the tax or something. Right? That's just charging. And fee is basically when you're paying someone for their services. That is fee. So all three mean that you are paying money to someone, but they have different connotations and they have different uses. Am I clear? Yes. Now, antonyms is the group of words that are opposite to each other, right? So this ways we know, right? Likely, unlikely, good, bad, right? So these are all opposites, black, white, right? So why do you need to know about the antonyms? There are times when you might want to say, totally opposite of something somebody is saying. Like, you mean differently, totally. The person is saying, I like the weather, right? And you don't like the weather. So if the person is describing a word, a very good word for a weather, right? The weather is beautiful, right? So you can use the opposite or the antonym of beautiful here, right? What can be the antonym of beautiful? Ugly, right? Or it's not good, it's not according to my taste, right? If you want to say, this place is so clean or so hygienic, but you don't feel the same. So you will say, this place is so unhygienic, unhygienic, right? Or this place is so filthy, right? So you are talking in the same context, but you are totally opposite while you are thinking. So if somebody, you know the antonym of the words, you can make it even more interesting. You can quickly you can tell the person you can totally reverse the conversation in the opposite way by using an antonym. Yeah? Alright. So now in next class, I will be discussing synonyms and antonyms and rest of the topics in detail. right now I will be quickly taking up your queries here, right? And then we will be continuing this chapter next time in the next session. Charge is not a negative connotation. No. It is not a negative connotation. Don't attach connotations to every synonym also. I am just saying there is a chance that synonyms might have different connotation, but that is not the case all the time. So charge is not a negative connotation. No. How moist is a positive word? Like, I like cake to be the moist. I like cake to be moist. I like to bake moist cakes, right? You don't eat dry cakes, right? You don't enjoy eating dry cakes. So you basically make moist cakes, but you don't make soggy cakes, right? Soggy is when the cake is spoiled. Maybe you spilled some liquid in it. Maybe it's because of the weather, something has become soggy. Dry fruits, basically. So dry fruits become soggy. That means they are not good to eat now. You say the dry fruits are soggy. So if you leave dry fruits outside in open air, and sometimes the dry fruits will become soggy. So soggy is that you don't enjoy eating it anymore. It's not good to eat now because you like dry fruits to be crunchy and crisp, right? So soggy is a negative and moist is a positive. Thank you, Utkarsh. I am elated by the quality of lectures you deliver. Okay. Noisy means Muskan, somebody who's too pushy about what you're doing, somebody who wants to interfere in your personal private space, somebody who's interfering too much to get your information that you don't want to share. Like there are people who keep questioning you unnecessarily. Who came? Why came? What did you eat? And all of that. So that's noisy. If you also like today's session, you can also tell me if the session was clear to you. And please do not forget to fill the feedback form. That is very important for you. And that is very important for me. Bon voyage came from French. Bizarre is basically, again, something related to weird, but bizarre is something that you do not understand. The situation is bizarre. Like, it's weird, but it is so negatively weird that you don't know what is happening. You just don't know what to do, right? So that is where you use bizarre. Yes, fragrance and aroma is basically the same, but you use aroma in a different way. So you use the aroma is food is good, right? The aroma is place is good. So you might use it in a different context. You don't say the fragrance of food. No, it's aroma of food. I've already discussed the ways to improve vocabulary. I hope you heard me and I hope you're going to start practicing from today onwards. Uh, there is somebody who has asked me if vocabulary, synonyms, antonyms are from your study book. Yes, the topics are there in your course material. I am just giving you more examples. I am just explaining to you. But that is very much part of your course and you will have questions based on this chapter. Excuse me is a negative connotation. How? If I want to ask somebody to excuse me, it is not a negative connotation. Come on, no. You use excuse me all the time. Maybe the tone might differ the way you are saying it, but no, excuse me is not a negative connotation. Not at all. If I'm walking, if somebody is in my way, I will tell the person politely, excuse me, sir. Yes. And please do not confuse synonyms and antonyms with connotations. No, don't mix the topics. What I was saying here is that there are certain words that can be used positively or negatively, right? Now, there are also synonyms, no? Bizarre and weird, some way, right? But they are used in a different way. Yes, bitter is negative. Denotation is basically the exact meaning of the word. It's strictly the exact meaning of the word. Uh, yeah, maybe in some way denotations and neutral words can be same, but I don't think it's the case every time. Headstrong or headstrong, Sia? What are you trying to ask me here? I am explaining, when I said headstrong and stubborn, I was explaining that there is someone who has will, but there's somebody who's very stubborn about the will, like that. By stubborn, I mean that somebody who doesn't want to listen to anyone. But no, stubborn and headstrong doesn't mean the same. I use the word stubborn to describe the word headstrong to you. Articulation, I hope it is clear. I've already clarified it to you. Jyoti, you asked me what should we do first in exam, the law part or the English part. So basically you're asking me what should you attempt first in your exams, business law part or the section 2B, which is business correspondence reporting. Jyoti, totally depends on you, how you decided based on, but you should always divide your time frame between the two papers and I mean, you should decide how much time you are going to take in your business law paper or you're going to take how much time in your business correspondence reporting. It totally depends on you. It totally depends on person to person how much time they would need to complete both the sections. But you should definitely divide your time accordingly in the beginning only. Connotations are statements with emotions. No. What is all wrong? Connotation is vocabulary. From where did the statements and sentences come here? It's vocabulary. You're doing vocabulary here. So connotations are vocabulary that might have a reference of emotional or psychological, that might have a references, that invokes a psychological meaning. Okay guys, so I will see you on Friday now. And if you like the session, please leave a line that you like the session. And we will be meeting on Friday. We will continue vocabulary. In the meantime, please download the worksheet and you can start doing it. I am still not able to figure out how you can send me the answers. Probably you can also call in ICAI office and ask that how can you send your responses and how that can reach to a particular teacher, specific teacher that you want to send to. I will also try to find out and maybe I'll be able to answer to you on Friday. In the beginning, I promise. But in the meantime, please start practicing and have a good day ahead. Bye. So, Grisha. Grisha. Hello. Okay, sir.